Marketo is such a difficult platform to be able to use, and I can't believe you have to hire a developer in order to be able to build email templates and landing page templates inside of this platform. They're complaints that we hear often inside of the Marketo community, and they're actually not exactly true. There are abilities to be able to build out email assets and landing page assets without having to touch code. And that's one of the things we want to cover in this Marketo Minutes instance. My name's Michael Tucker. I'm founder of the Conversion Store. I've been working in Marketo for well over 6 years and really want to talk to you today about how to build out emails inside of Marketo. It's something that's commonly misunderstood. And I think the reason why it's misunderstood is because so many people come to Marketo from a background in another platform. And so today we're going to actually show you how to build an email in Mailchimp, an email marketing platform, versus Marketo, a marketing automation platform, and why there's a difference between the two of those. So we'll also talk a little bit about brand identity and brand identity guides. And that's one of the big things is when you're working with Marketo, you're working in marketing teams that are not one person. If you're working in a Mailchimp instance, you might just be a coffee shop or a retail store, and you might be the owner and the digital marketer and wear half a dozen other different hats. I know because I've come from the small business background prior to this and coded inside of MailChimp templates. But we want to be able to show you that there's a difference between the two of those. And so this will give you a context on how to be able to create Marketo assets without touching a single piece of code. There will be no code editing in this entire instance, I promise you. And then if you have any questions afterwards, feel free to drop me a line and happy to be able to clarify those with you. So stay tuned. I think you're going to be excited and you're going to get a lot from this one. All right, so to give some context about why Marketo is the way it is and Mailchimp is the way it is, it's important to look at how a enterprise level marketing department works. And at the enterprise level, as you grow out your business, you get to a point where you need to be able to have brand identity guides that are predefined so that people understand what the brand means, because you'll have more than one people. You could have dozens of people working on marketing collateral for your company, and you need to make sure that they maintain brand standards so that people understand the person that's sending it or the business that's sending it. So let me just show you an example of what we mean here. And I just went into Google and did a search for Adobe brand identity, and it just returned book. And you can see here one of the links that we found partway down is the Adobe Creative Cloud Developer Brand Guide, which is basically the cloud version of Photoshop and Illustrator. Different than Marketo. Marketo is in the Adobe Experience Cloud, which is a different product altogether. But take a look at what we are looking at here. These are all of the different elements that are identified within the Adobe products basically. So understand that when you are looking at their company name, here's how we want it to be shown. Here's how we want to be able to make sure that you have the badge to be able to show that it works with Adobe Creative Cloud. Here's the badge for Adobe Exchange, which you'll see that was what the launch point program was called in the Marketo days. Right here is the way that the logo should look. Here's the colors. Here's the icons themselves. Here's the clearance space around that. All of this gets pre-built inside of a Marketo template when you're building a landing page template or an email template, to make sure that everybody who's developing for your brand, developing marketing collateral, doesn't have to go through, what is this, 39 pages for this particular brand identity guide, right? So most businesses have one. Some of them are smaller, some of them are larger than this, that you'll find. And so it's a little bit of work to go in, but it's worth doing to be able to maintain the brand awareness and maintain the brand consistency of everything that you're building inside of your Marketo instance. Now let's pop over and we'll see a little bit about how you might use this inside of your Marketo instance to be able to maintain brand standards. So if I go into our Mailchimp account, then I can start to see you can create assets and you can create a number of different types of assets. Mailchimp is really built their backbone on trying to make email marketing really efficient for somebody who is the small business. I can go in here as a user who might not have any marketing automation or digital marketing experience or a minimal amount of experience, and go in and create a regular email. And so here I have all of the different fields that I would fill out to send out a one-time batch and blast email. First name, last name, or to, from, subject, and content. And so I can click content, and you can choose. They're making updates consistently, so Mailchimp's been great about keeping up with their product roadmap. And you can see, okay, I have a classic builder or a new builder. I'm going to click the classic builder for now, just to be able to show you how it has been done historically. And so what happens here is you can go in and actually pick some of the pre-existing layouts that they have, or you can pick some new themed layouts, and you have the ability to kind of upsell you, and you can buy extra layouts if you want to that are pre-built, or you also have the option of being able to code your own, kind of like you would see in some of the Marketo syntax. MailChimp has their own syntax, and as I mentioned to you, this is something that I used to do before I got into Marketo, was coding out templates in MailChimp when I was working client side. So let's go in and just quickly pick some of the layouts that you can see inside of MailChimp. So we'll just do one that says make an announcement. Okay, and so we'll click this particular layout, and you'll see it opens up a window. And what it does that's really great, that I think a lot of people are really familiar with, is you have the ability to be able to drag and drop any and all of these elements and update all of the styles inside of this email, so that if I want to be able to add in an extra layer of text, super easy for me to go in here and do that. And I can click and I can just kind of say, this is my sample text. I can change it. I can add in all sorts of other colors, all sorts of other features to it. Super easy to use. Really great. Lots of responsive abilities. If I have no brand identity guidelines and I just want to get an email out the door as quick as possible, this is a great flexible tool to be able to use. So let's give them credit where credit is due on this. Understand that if you want to be able to use this view, you can send text emails. You have mobile views. They've built all sorts of things in here that allow you to be able to make sure that this is publishable for social media purposes. They've got a really good Facebook implementation, kind of like what you saw in Marketo AdBridge. And also, we have the ability here to be able to go back and then say what we have with other types of email content. So you can actually pick more of like a theme, right? So, for example, here I have the ability to kind of say, well, let's take a look at this new builder and see what this is all about. So a little bit more of a customized view from a template side of things. So you can update these templates. Makes it super easy to be able to again create a brand identity, and basically reuse and repurpose and rinse and repeat. And so I've used Mailchimp in a number of different times for more kind of community nonprofit groups, or when I had worked previously with smaller businesses, and it's great. It's really easy to use from that side of things. Definitely different though than what we're trying to do with Marketo. And so this is one of the things that I think it's important to be able to see. Okay, great. I can build all of these emails, drag and drop. There is no code that's needed here unless you want to build code. So you are limited to kind of the structure of this drag and drop interface. And when you want to go a layer deeper, then you can go into their coding syntax. It's kind of like Marketo syntax, where you're taking div tags and you put in an attribute that's called MC:edit, and then add in tag names, kind of like you would with Marketo syntax. And I don't want to get into the code side of things because that's the opposite of what we're trying to showcase this week. But understand that this is the brand view. This drag and drop view is sort of what you'll see in Marketo as well too. So we'll pop over to the Marketo instance in a minute and show you how we achieve that. But also, that step in between where we're coding out the actual brand identity for a business to make sure that you have the ability to do drag and drop in Marketo, but that you can maintain some of your brand standards. You don't necessarily want every marketer to be able to edit everything here. If your color is this kind of brown kind of shade, light shade here, that's really integral to your brand identity, to your trade dress. So you don't want to give somebody the ability to necessarily change that, especially in an enterprise level marketing department. If you're running a coffee shop or a small retail store or maybe even a small e-commerce site, it might be okay. It might not be as big of a deal. I mean, it might be a big deal. I don't want to discount that, but you have more flexibility in a smaller shop to be able to make decisions like that than you would in a firm that is your typical Marketo user base. So let's jump over to Marketo now. We'll see kind of the equivalent of that from Marketo's view of being able to use a drag and drop interface. So from Marketo's side of things, you also have this ability to be able to do drag and drop interfaces in your emails. The only caveat to it is that if you want to be able to use your own customizable brand on these emails, then you do have to do a little bit of coding to make sure that you have inputted that brand identity into a email template. But let's say that you don't have an email template in use and you just want to get an email out the door. So you can quickly say new email, and it just did that from Design Studio, but you can also do that from within any program in your marketing activity section of your Marketo instance as well too. And note that I have all of these other pre-canned choices that I can see here that are from Marketo that are pre-coded, okay? And you can preview these, and these are already coded to have all these drag and drop interfaces already pre-built into them. So we'll pick one of those and understand that if you want to, you can do this without any layout at all in their basic section and just pick either a skeleton view, and you can take a look in here and kind of scroll up and down and see that it's sort of similar to what we saw in some of the Mailchimp templates, or you can pick one of these branded templates. So I'm going to pick just a branded template here that just says get ready, which is kind of similar to what we're doing in our parking lot party series. And before I dive into that, I will note that so this is the area where you have the template, the pre-canned templates. If you want to build your own templates, so you'll see here that we have built our own templates in a variety of different series. So this is something that we do, the conversion stores. We will go through your brand identity guide and actually match all of the code for you so that you don't have to do it. And it's a pretty quick process, to be honest with you. And the idea behind it is you only really do it once every time you change your brand identity. So how often is that? It could be every couple of years, depending on your business. It could be more frequent, and it depends on if you are making brand shifts. So usually you try not to change that. The whole point of having a brand is that you have consistency so that your target audience starts to identify that, and it becomes consistent with your brand, so they know your company based on what you're seeing visually. But so first, let's take a look at one of these pre-canned templates. So we'll use this get ready template, and we'll say EM for email sample no code email. Okay. And so here we'll say open an editor was a checkbox that was already pre-selected. And so now it's loading up the email template. And so we'll skip out of this part when we're talking about all of the contact information, because that's already there. And what you can see in the email editor, so let's give a little bit of explanation behind this. Each of these areas is a module. So this line is a module here, this get ready March the 18th, and that is under the hero module. So you can see how it's highlighted as I mouse over. So when I click on this hero module, On the look on the right hand side and see how now I have access to all of these variables. And what it does is it allows you to be able to change all of the colors as you like, and change the text. So I can double click on here and I can actually say, instead of get ready, we can say let's get ready and save that. And notice that all of my branding is already coming through. I have the same font face, I have the same color scheme. It's already pre-built in here, so it makes it easy for a campaign operations person to stay on brand as they're building out the copy and the messaging. But I have the ability here to be able to add in different types of elements that are changeable or not. So the point of this is that with Marketo's coding language, you have 100% customizability behind, if that's a word, of what you want to be able to add and change inside of these images. So understand that if there's a piece that you do not want people to change, so let's say that this button background color, right? I have the ability right now, if I want to change that to like a yellow hue and make that darker, I can do that, and you see that the color of read more changes. If I want to lock that in place, I just remove this element and this local variable here from my code, and that way the person that is working on this email template, they can make changes, and they can make changes to the button text and say submit now, and change the type of it and change the URL that the button is going to link to, but they don't have the right to be able to change the color because that is a crucial element in your brand identity guide. And so that's where the real power behind Marketo. That's why there's code in Marketo. Now, if you don't want to use the code at all, then just use one of these pre-canned templates, and you can hide them, and you can delete these and say, okay, well, I don't want to have a hero template in here. I don't want to have a blank space template in here. And understand that all of these modules are already built inside of this template. But what you can do here, just a little shortcut, if you want to remove and only put in the modules that you want and change the branding that you want, no problem. Go ahead and do that. And a neat feature I don't think a lot of people know about is you can go into email actions and then say save as a template. So pausing for a second there so you can see, you do not have to have code as a background to create your own branded email template. You could do all of that if you wanted to by using one of these pre-existing templates, and you can then build that, and then save it inside of the folder, and basically say, okay, well, we have different types of preview templates here. Let's just say no code sample email template, and we'll just save that. Okay, and we'll say, what folder do we want to put this in? Let's just put this in my folder. Okay. And so here what we have is, you'll see that there is now no hero element inside of my email. If I close this out, I go back to email templates. So this one is saved as a draft. I'm going to approve this now so that I have it to be able to use for future emails. Okay. And again, you've seen I haven't shown you any code inside of Marketo. I've just gone in and updated my email to make it look the way I want it to look. So now I can go here and say my branded email, no code. And I can go into my templates, and I'll go into my folder. Where's my folder? Let's just check here. And I can actually do a search here too on the right hand side. So let's just do that. Okay, there it is. And let's say create. So now I go into my email, and you notice that all of the layouts are still here. All the code is already done for you. All of these content blocks are created. All of these here's it's a really well developed email because it's from Marketo, and it's built out to be able to highlight all of the different features and functionality that they have. So you have these abilities here, and you notice that I don't have a hero tag anywhere in here. The one that we were looking at earlier with the background image, take a look. It's nowhere inside of any of my modules. And so these modules, by the way, give you the ability, if you want to drag and drop extra elements, just like you saw in Mailchimp, it's the same sort of thing. You have this ability to be able to go in, add in a new image if you want to, change in your design studio image. This one's not going to fit properly, right, because of the way that the image works. But if I wanted to, I could swap that out. I can play around with this, do all sorts of neat things here. I can drag and drop other elements. So if I want to have it balanced basically between the two of these, because I have two images on the left, let's put one image on the right, and you'll see that it just drops in. No code involved here. And so understand that if you want to build these without touching a lick of code, no problem to be able to do that. These will be able to be published out afterwards. So if you want to make use out of them, then just like you would, go ahead, say approve and close, and you have all of the elements to be able to work within a very detailed template to be able to show you how to be able to create these elements for yourself for your own email marketing. One last piece that I will give you some guidance on here too is that a lot of these pre-coded templates, you'll see they have all of the layouts that are inside of the email itself when it gets created. And if you're not going to make use out of all these emails, this becomes a lot of work for you to be able to create. So one of the things that we do, just kind of a tip, is that inside of Marketo's code, one thing that you can do when you get familiar with the code is you can build these out to be even more customizable. So I can lock out different elements within a module. I can actually set this up so that if I want to, I can keep it so that only the header and the pre-header are shown when an image first gets started in the footer, and then I can drag and drop only the elements that I want. So if I want to use this right now, let's say I want to make a really simple email and I only want to have one, two, three of these modules at the very top. And I don't want to use this one, this one, this one, the other umpteen different modules that are here. I have to go through right now and then right click and then delete this module, and then right and wait for it to refresh, and right click and delete this module, and it takes forever, right? But understand that you don't have to work that way. So what we will do is we'll build templates that'll have all these modules in place, and then we'll build one that's called a blank canvas, where we go into the code and set up the code in such a way that you're only showing the header and the footer. You can lock those in if you want to. Like, let's say that I want to keep some legal boilerplate language here, and I want that fixed. So the only people that can change that are either my legal team or the senior marketing team. I can set that up so that it's always locked inside of these email templates. But everything that's in between here, instead of having to go in and continue to do these delete sections to pick just the sections that you want, you can just pre-fill that and create that via code. And so notice again, we're building really well structured emails here that are responsive. They already meet. They work well on mobile versions, and you don't have to do any code at all to be able to use these, and they're perfectly valid to be used within Marketo. So I hope this is helpful for you. If you have any questions about this or about the code, feel free to drop us a line at hello@conversionstore.com, or on LinkedIn or any of the other online venues that you'll see Marketo Minutes in.